Good morning. Today we are going to cover section 3.3, graphing lines. So just make sure that you have your materials that you need ready to go. You'll need the following. You'll need your cutouts. We're just going to need one cutout today. You also need to have your pencil, your highlighter, your red pen. So let's get started. So let's go and place our margin just like we've done all this time. So let me make myself a little smaller so you can see parts of the work. So we are going to use start on the left, and we need to place our margin, which will be 6 squares. So 2, 2, 4, 6. And that should be sufficient for what we need. And all the way down. Now, the title for this section is 3.3, graphing lines in slope-intercept form. And you've seen this before. You saw this last year, so this should be all a quick refresher on graphing lines. 3.3, graphing lines in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. Good. We can make a fade in there. So that is the title for this set of notes. We are going to use the 3.3 cutout. If you don't have it, then just copy it down nice and neat. Make a graph with your ruler. And then if you do have your cutouts, just go and cut it nice and neat. We are going to glue it. Or if you don't have glue by any chance, you can use tape. And don't forget to save this for the next set of notes. So don't lose it. So I'm going to glue it. We're going to glue the corners really well. I don't want it to fall off later on. And now we can just place it up. Remember, if you don't have your cutouts, then just go and take the time, go and pause it. And then we can continue once you're ready. Go and press pause. Example number 1. Today we're just going to graph. And we're going to make the instructions short. So we just, instead of saying graph the following function, we are just going to say graph. A and B. A will be y equals negative 3x plus 2. And B will be y equals 3 over 4x minus 5. So now we are going to use the slope-intercept form, the slope and the intercept. That means that it's going to give you the slope and it's going to give you that y-intercept. And that's what's called slope-intercept form, because we are going to use the slope and the intercept, the y-intercept, to graph it. Now remember that your B is your y-intercept. That's going to be where it crosses your y-axis. And the slope will be your rise going up or down and to the right. In this case, is the slope positive or negative for this graph? It's negative, correct. So now let's go and make our graphs. I'm going to make a 5 by 5 graph for each one. Let's see, I need to be 2, 4, 5. So here is perfect. And I'm going to make 5 down, 2, 4, 5. Make my little line. 2, 4, 5. Arrows on both sides. And I'll do the same thing here. I'll go and measure 5 to the right, 2, 4, 5, and 5 to the left. That always happens. And now I can, that's what we call a 5 by 5 graph. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'll make 5 down, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. And I actually do like to be able to say 2, 4, 5, and when I do my other line, I don't need to be looking for the halfway mark. On your test, you're going to have to make nice and neat graphs in order to get credit. So just make sure that you are using your ruler. It makes a big difference on how your notes are organized. So if you need more time, go and pause it. Now to graph it, it's going to be an easy process because remember that we graphed this on section 3.1, but then we made a table of values and then we plot each of the points and then connected them with the line. Now we are going to use some of the properties of this line, of this equation. This is going to be your y-intercept, and this is going to be your slope. So your y-intercept, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my y-axis because that point is going to be on my y-axis. So I highlight my y-intercept, which is 2, and that'll be my first point, 1, 2. So therefore, your b is 2. That means that your y-intercept is 0, 2. And that is what our cutout says right above, correct? That is your y-intercept is 0, b. So your b is 2. So your y-intercept is 0, 2. Your slope is going to be this number here. And if it's a whole number, I need to make it into a fraction so we can graph it. So I'll place it over 1 to make it into a fraction. Notice that the negative belongs to the 3. So from this point, I'm going to go down 3 and to the right 1. I'll make my bubbles down 3, 1, 2, 3, and now to the right 1 because it's positive. So the negative goes down, and then I can repeat it once again. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I can do the opposite. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. But your first point is always up or down and then to the right. In this case, we went down 3 to the right 1. I'm going to take a ruler. I'm going to connect all 3 points, and that is the line. So which way is easier? The way that we did it in 3.1 or the way that we did it now? Now this is much faster, right? And we're using 2 things. We're using your b as your y-intercept, and your slope is your m. So let's go to the next one. My y-intercept is -5. So what should I do first? Highlight. You're going to highlight your y-intercept, which is your b. I'm going to highlight my y-axis. So therefore, your b is -5. That means that your y-intercept is 0, -5, according to our definition right above. That means that it's going to cross the y-axis at -5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down over here. And now I can use my slope. I'm going to go and circle my slope. It's already a fraction, so I can just go ahead and circle it. I don't need to make it a fraction, just like I did here. On this one, I had to add 1 because I want my slope to be a fraction. In this case, it's already a fraction. It's a positive or negative. It's positive. That means that your lines should be going up. So therefore, from this point, I'm going to go up 3 and to the right 4. Remember, you always go up into the right or down into the right. Up into the right or down into the right as well. So 1, 2, 3, into the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So therefore, that is my other point. There's no more space to make another set of points. So therefore, I can just go and connect them, and that'll be my graph. I do need to see as many points as I can on the graph, on a 5x5 graph. So notice that that's why on this one, I made several points throughout. That is going to be an essential part of this chapter. Let's continue with example number 2. Let's go and draw the line. I'm going to place example number 2 right below, and then we'll go to number 3 on the next page. Example number 2. Graph. Once again. A and B. A will be y equals 2x, and B will be y equals negative 1 over 2 x plus 3. And once again, we are going to graph, so therefore I need to make a 5 by 5 graph. Let's see, I'm going to follow the same line from above since that's a good location. So I'll start here. I'll go 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. I do want you guys to use a ruler for this. So get yourself a ruler. Straight edge is fine. If you have your old ID from last year, you can. Or just use your ID. That is my first graph, nice and neat. I'm going to follow the same line from above. So I can, it looks a little more organized if I do 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. And now, go and pause it if you need more time. So now I need to be able to graph the first equation. There's no y-intercept, so what number should be here? Correct. If there's nothing there, I automatically will place it plus 0. So therefore, our y-intercept will be 0. I'm going to highlight my y-intercept, which is 0. Then I'm going to highlight my y-axis. And my first point should be at 0, which is here. So therefore, my b is 0. So therefore, my y-intercept is 0, 0. And that's the location. My slope is 2. I need my slope to be a fraction. So what should I do? Correct. I'll place it over 1. I'm going to circle it. And that is my slope. It's positive or negative? It's positive. So therefore, it has to go up into the right. If it's negative, it's going to go down into the right. So let's do this again. Positive, up into the right. Negative, down into the right. So it's positive, so I'll go 1, 2, into the right 1. Remember, you can place your bubbles if it makes it easier for you. 1, 2, into the right 1. And I can repeat it once again. 1, 2, and over 1. And I can repeat it once again. 1, 2, and over 1. Or I can do the opposite. 1, 2, and over 1. Just following the same line. 1, 2, and over 1. So making lines throughout the graph will make sure that we have the correct graph and should be all the way through. Notice that my slope is positive and my graph is going up. So therefore that looks correct. So try letter B. Go and pause it, see what you get, and then we can compare our answers afterwards. Composite. You got it? So first thing that you should do is should highlight my y-intercept, my y-axis, which is positive 3. 1, 2, 3. My b is 3. That means that my slope is 0, 3. Not my slope, my y-intercept is 0, 3. My slope is negative 1/2. That means that from this point, if it's positive, you go up into the right. If it's negative, you go down into the right, always to the right. So you're going to go down 1 and to the right 2. 1, 2. So therefore, that is my second point. And I can repeat it once again. Down 1 and 1, 2. And I can repeat it once again. Down 1 and to the right 2. And no more space. And now the opposite. Up 1 and over 2. And again, up 1 and over 2. And again, up 1 and over 2. And that's plenty of space. Actually, plenty of points. You want to make as many points as you can on the graph. That is essential. That's going to make sure that you understand the concepts. Notice that that represents your slope. Down 1 to the right 2. And your slope is the same throughout. That's what we said, your slope is constant. So all the linear graphs that you covered so far, the slope has been the same throughout. Not until we go to exponential functions in quadratic equations is when we find other type of graphs. We have two more examples. The next one will be this very similar. Example number 3. So let's go make our margin. I'll make 7 squares, 2, 4, 6. I'll make 7 squares. That works. If you have larger grade, just make 4. If you have 4 per inch. And now, 5 is fine. Example number 3. On example number 3, I'm going to graph once again and see if you can do this by yourselves. We have A and B. A is y equal to 2 over 3x minus 3. And B is y equals negative x plus 3. Let's go and make a 5 by 5 graph. So I'm going to count 6, 2, 4, 5. Well, this is fine. Plenty of space. 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. And actually, I like to have them lined up, so let me just line them up. Somehow it makes it easier for me. But that will be 6, which is fine. Go and pause it. See if you can grab the first one, and then we can work it out together. Go and pause it. Got it? Excellent. So first thing, highlight your y-axis, highlight your y-intercept. So therefore, that is going to be your first point. That is your B. Your B is negative 3, which corresponds to the y-intercept. Your y-intercept is going to be 0, and then your B, which is negative 3. That point is 0, and down 3 is located here. And now your slope. Your slope is positive or negative? I'm going to circle it in red. Your slope is positive. So therefore, if it's positive, you go up into the right. If it's negative, you go down into the right. So therefore, I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. Do I have enough space for another? I do, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. No more space. So now I'm going to do the opposite. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that is my graph of this line. Now, notice that my slope is positive and my line is going up. So therefore, that looks correct. Let's try letter B. Your y-intercept, I'm going to highlight. Notice I follow the same process, and I want you guys to do the same thing, because that way you guys will do really well on the test. Y-intercept is 3. Highlight your y-axis. My B is 3, so it'll be 0, 3. 1, 2, 3. My B, in this case, is 3, and it'll be a point. That is your y-intercept. Your B is where it crosses your y-axis. Now, what is my slope? That is a good question. My slope is negative 1. There's a 1 hiding from you. And I need to make it into a fraction, so it'll be negative 1 over 1. That means that from here, I'm going to go down 1 and to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. Down 1 to the right 1. And I'll repeat it all the way down 1 more into the opposite. Up 1 and over 1. Up 1 and over 1. Up 1 and over 1. I'm going to go ahead and draw the line. And notice that my slope is negative. My line is going negative, so that matches. Perfect. And the last example for today, example number 4, is going to be a little bit more work, because the equation that I'm going to give you is not going to be in slope-intercept form. And we'll talk about this form next time. This, do you remember the form? let's go and graph A and B. We have 2x minus 3, y equals 15, and the last one will be negative x plus 2y equals to 6. Do you remember the name of this form of an equation? The previous one was slope-intercept form. This one is called standard form. Let's write it down on the left-hand side. This is standard. To be able to graph it, there's two ways that we can graph it. Today we're going to cover the first way. Is to be able to leave the y by itself. I need to be able to solve for y. So I'm going to draw the line. And to solve for y is a very quick process, just 2 steps. I need to leave the y by itself, so therefore I'm moving the 2x to the right, and when I move it to the right, I'm going to move it right after the equal sign. So therefore I have negative 3y equals, that we can say, that's a positive, we can say negative 2x plus 15. And the last step is to divide by negative 3. To leave the y by itself, we're going to divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Now my 3's cancel, my negatives cancel, and now the y is by itself. Now we have y equals negative divided by negative is positive, so it'll be 2 over 3x. 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. And now we can graph it. Now it's going to be a very quick process, just like we've done before. We're going to do a 5 by 5 graph. So let me place in the same spot. That looks great. 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. There we go. To graph it, we're going to go through the same process. First step, when positive, you need more time. My y-intercept is negative 5. I highlight my y-axis, which is negative 5. That is my first point. My slope, positive or negative? Positive. This is my slope, 2 over 3. So I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, to the right 3. And I'm going to repeat once again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And notice that I have no more space, so those 3 points will be sufficient. I can draw my line, and that is the equation of the line. Remember this from last year, right? You guys covered this last year. Letter B. In order to graph it, I need to be able to place it into slope y-intercept form, slope-intercept form. So 2-step process. What's my first step? Okay, draw the line. What's my second step? Move the negative x to the right. We can say positive x. I'm going to move it right after the equal sign. So I'm going to have to be careful. So I'm going to write down my 2y equals, that's a negative x. We can say positive x plus 6. And what is my last step? My last step is to divide by 2. I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Now my 2's cancel, and we have y equals. What's x divided by 2? Well, the x has a leading coefficient of 1 that we can't see. That's hiding from us. So therefore, it's 1 over 2x plus 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So just be careful. That is not 2x. 1 divided by 2 is just 1 over 2, half. And now I can go and draw my x and y axis. I'll make it 5 by 5, 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5. And now graph it, see what you get, go and pause it, and then we can compare our answers. Got it? My y-intercept is 3. My slope is 1/2, so I'm going to go up or down. It's positive 1/2. So therefore, when it's positive, you go up into the right. If it's negative, you go down into the right. Let's try this again. Positive up into the right, negative down into the right. Right. So therefore, I'm going to go up 1 and to the right 2. Up 1 to the right 2. And no more space. 1 and over 2. 1 and over 2. 1 and over 2. So notice that I do need to see the points all throughout the graph. Notice that my slope is positive, so it's going up. So this will conclude the lesson for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.